Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Sports. And it is official: Alex Mann will not be cited for an alleged eye gouge on Eben Etzebeth, which allegedly instigated the investigation that then led to Eben Etzebeth himself getting red carded for an eye gouge, something that's pretty indisputable, to be honest. And I thought I'd actually take a look at the sort of footage, some of the images, because I think it lays bare a very dangerous situation that we find ourselves in with regards to looking at footage or images and the likes of that, and kind of the story it tells. Now, I did a video earlier today speaking about the potential punishment that Eben Etzebeth, for example, could face with regards to his eye gouge, and the fact that he could be looking at 16, 20, up to 205, I think it's 206 weeks officially, is the biggest punishment that he can get, which is was 208 or whatever it is, which is basically 4 years. Now, the big thing is that a lot of people speaking about the last couple of days is what incited the reaction of Eben Etzebeth. Why did he go after Alex Mann? Now, the problem is that several things can be true at the same time. First of all, there is absolutely no excuse for the actions of Eben. You look at the eye gouge, it looks bad. There's no real justification. There's no real mitigation with regards to that. And the thing is, it doesn't matter what what happened to the player. You cannot sort of do what Eben has done. And I mean, we've kind of looked at and broken it down, and we're sort of hoping to hear a verdict by Wednesday. By the way, he will have his hearing tomorrow afternoon, as we understand. So we should hear a hearing on Wednesday, which is the same day as obviously the Rugby World Cup draw. So in for a very interesting day. But in terms of the Alex Mann incident, and in terms of where we're at with regards to what sort of your eye gouging sort of circumstances are, this is basically kind of where they're at when it comes to sort of your sanctioning. So if it's intentional eye contact, your low starts at 12 weeks, mid-range 18, 24 weeks, reckless eye contact, 6, 12, 18, for example, contact with the eye area. Now, this I think is quite an important thing to look at, because I think that there was a submission, probably from the Springboks, that to the cited commissioner that there was this alleged eye gouge, but he has seen the footage, reviewed the footage, and deemed that there is not enough in it. Now, there were two big screenshots going around social media, and I thought we'd have a look at them, because I think it gets very, very dangerous with regards to where we are. Now, the first one is this one, which shows, and we're going to look at the video, by the way. I've got a video. I've managed to try and get it in the best possible quality so we can kind of really try and see what's going on. Now, this video over here, for example, has Alex Mann's hand on Eben Etzebeth. That pinky, for example, seems to be very much in the sort of eye region. Now, that's, again, when we're talking about this concept and contact with the eye, or reckless contact, you could look at this and you could say, based on that screenshot itself, there is potential eye contact. Then there was this floating around. Now, this, I think, is very dangerous, because this looks doctored at the end of the day. That is his right hand. Now, I'm a bit confused as to how his right hand's come around, and if your pinky is in that kind of position, there's that kind of gap, that kind of L-shaped, for the gap that's supposed to be there, basically. It's kind of that, supposedly. Then it's time to get a bit worried. So that, for example, and this is where I get very worried, that for me does not look like a legitimate image. And I think it has potentially been doctored. And we'll talk about people who are posting these things, but this is where the issue comes with screenshots. Now, a lot of people are talking about the fact that I used the screenshot of this from Eben Etzebeth, but this was literally captured from the video of the TMO thing. So literally, I screenshot it as I watched it, and this one over here, and there's, I can tell you right now, you can go look at it yourself, there is no doctoring. Now, the problem I have with this kind of image, for example, over here, is when we look at the incident, and let's go have a look at the incident, shall we? I get a little bit worried about where we're at with it. So this is basically the whole thing. So now, even for example, is in the middle of that mall. So there, for example, we've got no idea what's going on. Absolutely no idea. So there he comes coming in there now to join the mall. So that's what I'm saying. We've got no idea what's happening in the mall there. Eben comes to join the mall over there. Then it goes down. Over there, nothing's happening. Now, you can see over there, that's Alex Mann on the floor, the number 6 jersey. Okay? So Eben's actually basically, sorry, the number 7 jersey over there. Eben is over there, and it comes around. Now, all of a sudden, Zach Borthendwell's over. Eben's in that position over there. Now, there we can sort of see where the the fraction or the instance based is theoretically taking place. You can see his right arm there is around Eben Etzebeth's face. Now there, for example, I mean, we can make it bigger. We can really try and scrutinize it. I don't see a finger there. Then there's a push that comes from a teammate, actually. So let's go back and look at that again in a bit bigger. Still over there. I don't think there's a clear finger. I mean, you can't really see what's going on. And when he moves his hand over there, the hand's in and around the face. It is in and around the face. There's no doubt about that it is in and around the face. But obviously, you've got to try and find clear sort of evidence of the contact itself. And I think the problem here is that, you kind of go through it, you look where his finger is, and then there's a shove that comes across. And I mean, again, this is now his head basically moves down there. And again, unless that's his right hand, it was his other hand, for example, that's not where your pinky would be. And this is the problem, is having watched it a few times, even there, you can see his fingers. I personally don't see an eye gouge. I personally don't see concrete evidence, and I certainly do not see, that image that is circulating, which looks like this. And I think that is obviously what the cited commissioner has seen. So, the big problem is we don't want to be so obsessed with trying to find a reason and an excuse that we try and find things that aren't there. So this is also the problem. Obviously, they'll have hopefully better quality than I have. I've been trying to get the best quality possible. This has obviously been enlarged. So I'm always going to lose a little bit of pixels and the likes of that. But at no point over here, I think, is there absolute concrete, clear evidence. I mean, for me, the most you could find is contact in the eye area. I don't think, even when you look at where Alex Mann is, for example, there he has to look at Eben, and then the arm comes across from the other player, and basically the arm goes away. We don't really get to see what happened afterwards. His arm sort of in there, and that's kind of, we don't really know. So it's very possible that something could have happened there. It is very possible, and that's obviously within the cited commissioner. They would have received a report with regards to the incident about what's going on there. From there, obviously, we then see. We can kind of sort of players on, and obviously they'll also have the different angles there. They'll be able to see exactly what happens, and then we basically cross over to the other incident, and the referee stops the game, and we come back, and it all ends up in this. So it's a very tricky situation to be in, because we've obviously only got certain camera angles, and obviously they might have better camera angles, might have better quality, might be able to see better. I personally do not see a clear eye gouge, and I think that's probably what the cited commissioner has seen. That is not to say that there wasn't an incident that happened. And again, the problem is we always keep referring back to the Jan Hendrik Wessels case, because the problem is written submission was basically deemed enough in that sense. And there could be a similar situation. Yeah, maybe there was an eye gouge. Maybe there was an incident. Maybe there's something. But what could also equally have happened is that there could have been a hand in and around the area. It might have brushed an eye, for example. It might have been around the area. Whether it did, for example, we might not entirely sure. And that might have felt like an eye gouge, or it might have, basically triggered Eben in terms of thinking that that's what's happened, and that's led to an incident. The problem is you've got to kind of treat them relatively separately to a certain degree. You've got to look at that incident and say, right, what are the facts? What can we see? What do we got from the player submission? What do we know? Right, cool, bang. Then this happens. And unfortunately, there's several attempts by Eben at the face towards him. So even if this was not in him deliberately trying to put his thumb in his eye, he made several attempts at Alex Mann's head, and that's where we've ended up with situations like this. And that's the problem. I always say, when it comes to these things, don't give the referee a decision to make. And unfortunately, Eben has given the referee a decision to make, and a pretty easy decision. So what we now know is that Alex Mann will not be cited. What we don't know is what the punishment is going to be for Eben Etzebeth and what we're potentially looking at. Hopefully we'll know that on Wednesday. But what do you think? Are you seeing things differently from what I'm seeing on the video? Again, we ideally need better quality. We'd be ideally be able to magnify things and enhance them, which we can't do. Well, not particularly quickly anyway. But I personally don't see the screenshots that I'm seeing, for example. I personally don't see concrete and very clear evidence of an eye gouge on him. Again, it might have felt like it happened. It might have felt like something that then triggered the reaction. I personally just don't see it. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steve. I'll chat to you soon.